Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is Wednesday, June the, oh my gosh, 3rd already. And
I know.
so yay, I got to be with my gal pal posse tonight, BZ Rieger and Lisa Flameno Rush. Welcome, ladies.
And many, many hummingbirds.
Lovely.
And Lisa's got lots of little moth.
Lots of little boogies.
And later, we might hear our great big owl that's joined us of late. Yeah. So BZ's got a title for us tonight. What changes when you come from a place of doing things because you choose to? So I said I picked this one over the other one that BZ came with, but BZ said it wasn't going to go the way I thought. So I want to hear. I want to hear what you have to say first, BZ.
Well, I mean, we can start by playing just with the question: what changes?
Well, my immediate response, the reason I said I wanted to play with this is because, well, first of all, everything changes. When I come from a place of doing things because I want to, everything changes. Everything changes for me, and on the inside, and I've noticed also on the outside.
Uh-huh. Do you have to change the things that you're doing?
No. I mean, no.
Sometimes, for me, I caught myself doing things I didn't want to do.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that.
There were things that I was only doing for someone else. So I'm guilty of that.
True. No,
Well, but you can change. So this is where this right here is the two parts of it.
Okay.
So you can say, I'm no longer doing something I don't want to do, right?
Right.
And great. And immediately there's, of course, but you don't understand. Yes, but part of it is that, what changes when you come from a place, right? When you come from a place of doing things because you choose to. So the thing that one is doing does not have to change at all.
No.
It's you who changes the place that you come from. The energy that you hold, the perception, perspective, flow of energy, the energy signature, the character of how you're moving through, flowing with that energy exchange is this exchange of value, right, that you're doing.
Yeah.
So it can be absolutely, well, I made a list, all the things I don't want to do anymore, not doing them. Cool. Right? But and what's very cool about including both of them in is that there is a balance. You don't have to. You can cross all sorts of stuff off your list. Absolutely, no problem. But you don't have to. Because what you're doing now is coming from a place, you are actually standing in your knowing in your own stewardship of that which you do. And that actually changes how you encounter the thing that you're doing.
Yes, but also, well, I guess maybe I'm not getting it quite right, okay? Because I'm coming from a place where if there's something that I'm putting myself in the shoes of but you don't understand for a minute. Okay. Because for me, when I'm coming from a place of doing things because I choose to, if there's something that I'm doing that whatever perception I have that I have to do because you don't understand, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm looking at changing that thing too. Because if I'm not choosing to do that from a place that brings me joy, because that's where I'm at, right? I want joy in all things, and I'm choosing with when what is presented to me in every moment to choose the highest joy. Well, if that's not bringing me the highest joy, I'm choosing something else.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't in the moment, I am changing the way I meet it, as you say, while I'm searching around because I'm ready to beat feet over this away to something that's more fun and what I am choosing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying maybe I wasn't quite grokking what you're saying, because
No, you are. It's all of those things that, I think what happens is, I know that happens all the time, is that people say, well, I have to do X, Y, or Z, or I don't like this or whatever, because they think they have to, they think they're looking over here and the pastures are greener on the other side and all those kinds of things. And so what happens is then they may, because they're so powerful right now and there is such a short gap between those things, they may get laid off if you're talking about work or something like that, right? So, well, hey, you don't have to do that, right? But because they haven't familiarized themselves with and really embrace the fact that they can show up how they choose no matter what the thing is, because the choosing is within them. It's not the thing.
Well, that's true. Now I know. Okay, so it just.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
I have a little story that kind of is an example of all of that. So for me, it was kind of a process. I didn't get where I am today with just one jump. So it started off with, if I have to work, right? Because, yeah, but I have to work. The argument with myself went like that. So then the next piece for me, because I was doing something I didn't want to do. I was a bill collector for a living. And it was soul sucking, soul destroying. It was ruining my entire life because of what I was doing. I didn't believe in it. I just didn't. So for me, I had to change something. I had to let something go, which was this job that I had. And instead, so at that time, the process was go follow your heart. You don't have to bill collect. What does your heart want to do with your time? If you weren't getting paid to do it, what would you do anyway? And I had to think about that for a while, because I don't really have an answer to that question. Because I wasn't really used to thinking of, what do you like to
That's
do?
right. Well, it's a very hard.
That was a foreign concept.
Yeah.
So once I figured it out, I love children, and I am passionate about families. And it's not, oh, aren't they cute, and pinch their cheeks and dress them up and bounce them around. My interest in children is, I like to see, I could see a lot of parenting mistakes all around me. I had no children, and I had no children by choice. I didn't want to bring children into this messed up, crazy place that I found myself in. And so I could see how I would do things differently to support the child. And it became crystal clear to me that that is where my heart is. And so I chose to work with families. And that's when I became a nanny. And it was really, more than just babysitting children. I ran the entire household.
Right.
And so much so that when the parents came home, I was still running the entire household. Everybody was turning to me for everything because I was present in the day for the children. And so the parents came in and they don't know where we are in this game of the day. And so they turned to me. And the parent and the child had such a disconnect because of the setups that they had going on, that they were having conflict too. And I could see the value of my presence just in the family. And so that is the career choice that I pursued. But I have to tell you very quickly, I hated my job, loved my family, loved what I was doing. But I didn't like that I was required to do it for, by this time now I had a family, and I needed me time. I needed to dedicate myself to my children, or, my child, my husband, my family, because I was spending my entire life dedicated to other people. And what happened in the day was dictated by the parents, the timing of it, the activities we were supposed to do. It was one of those things where I was having great difficulty now enjoying the thing that brought me passion, which was loving on people, because of the external limits that were put on it. And because it was tied to monetary issues, it became completely unpleasant for me. And then I was like, now what do? I am doing what I love. So please don't tell me to do that again. And I can tell you right now, everything that I love, that I've tried to put a price tag on, has just done this for me in my passion department. Now I'm completely turned off by it. So now what do I do? And this is where I had to change the way the place I was coming from.
Right.
I was in resistance to working a job in a system I can't stand. And, I was railing inside of me against these things that made me feel trapped or not in control. And the reality was, I could do those things, but I could do it my way. I could allow my heart to dictate those things that I didn't like about the job that I was doing. And I didn't know how to do it at first, but just relieving or letting go of the resistance to what is
Right.
was the first step for me. And that was just all in here. Nothing changed out here. But the more that I did that, the more I found myself having fun right where I was. And the more the compounds that were making me feel trapped started to just sort of, without me doing anything, this job sort of disintegrated in such an orderly fashion, right? That I got to experience exactly what I wanted within the same situation that was making me so unhappy. I just couldn't stand myself. And that was the real issue. I couldn't stand myself. But the minute that I did, that I just allowed myself to be okay with the fact that that my undies were in a bunch, and that I was trapped in a system, when I let those thoughts go, that reality disappeared for me. Even though I didn't leave anything, I didn't change anything, other than the place that I was coming from, right?
Right. So the question was, what changes when you come from a place doing things because you choose to? And you just had a direct example description of that. Exactly that.
Yes. Yes.
And it includes all possible quadrants of but you don't understand and everything.
Right.
And it's a fantastic power because it lets you navigate anything you can think of, anything you're currently doing, will do, should do, kind of do, may do, sort of do, hasn't even been invented yet to do yet, but will be invented to do maybe by you. And it pulls you into that you have unlimited power to change everything. It doesn't matter what the metaphor is, what the system is, what the structure, what the setup, what the, you know, this particular thing is.
Yeah.
And the common thing that happens is, you know, what Lisa talked about in the beginning, and she said, well, hate doing this job. Oh, okay, I love to do that. That's good. So let me do that, right? You know, find a need and fill it, or, you know, that you love, and that's great. Except that, again, we haven't built the muscles or realized that we even have them. They're already there, right? You know,
I was building them.
yeah.
Yes. But by making the choice to choose jobs, that was choosing to follow my heart. So, and it starts with that, just a tiny breath, just a baby step. But you have to keep moving in that direction. And then next thing you know, you forget you ever had that situation.
Right.
Well, see, that's a good point, Lisa. And that's the issue that happens a lot, I think. And I caught myself doing that an awful lot. And that is, and this goes to the but you don't understand, because there's a whole lot of what my grandma used to call borrowing trouble. You're just borrowing trouble, thinking about this, that, and the other thing that could, maybe, might happen instead of what is. And this is the other thing that happens. I think we actually were having a conversation with a loved one the other day about this very thing. And the thing is, with all these different, because listen, we're all taught to think about the future. That's where this whole idea of getting a job that makes you the best money so you can put money away for your retirement and the future, right? Okay, hold up. Except that takes you out of the present, for one thing. And for me, that's why I say I'm looking at what is in the moment in front of me and choosing my highest joy.
Right.
That's part of what but you don't understand is about, I feel like, because there is a part of that, for me anyway, it certainly was. Yeah. There is a part of that has to do, well, how am I going to pay the electric bill? How am I going to pay the rent?
How's the house going to get clean? That was where I went with it. Because, yeah, I'm never going to want to clean the house. Okay?
But you enjoy it.
Well, who's going to take out the trash, too?
That's literally do it.
Well, and
well, one morning I woke up, and I have to tell you, I wanted to clean the house. And I cleaned it within an inch of its life.
That's right. Well, you know what? Right now, things are moving fairly fast, and there's all different changes coming along on all different levels, in all different directions, in all different frequencies, and changing, you know, of the old guard, everything falling down and new stuff coming. And so this is a particularly timely moment to be having this kind of conversation, because if we can empower ourselves to realize that in a nanosecond or less, we can completely move from one space, one energetic frequency, vibrational neighborhood in how we're coming from things, for no matter what it is. And because things are changing, so the future is not this thing that's this amorphous in that you're leading up to, and it's this ponderous thing to get there, because it's here, and then it's not the future anymore. It's, you know, the new thing, and it's going in different directions. So it really is, you know, if you know anything about horses, a quarter horse is turning on a dime, you know, and spinning and doing something really fast, and then taking off at a faster pace, or just, you know, meandering along, whatever you're choosing to do. Because then it doesn't matter what anyone outside of you is doing. It simply doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you, dissuade you, knock you off your strut or anything in any way, shape, or form. In fact, you help everybody else around you simply because we were talking about this at the beginning before we got on camera, simply because of that column of light that you hold as you go wherever you go. You're not imposing it on anybody. It's just you. And if there happens to be a slight overlap,
Yep.
they just pass through, a slightly different amount of light or amount of, breeze or whatever it is for a moment. But right now, this is an incredibly helpful skill for a number of reasons, because the jobs and all those kinds of things, well, for a lot of people, they went away, right? And they may be coming back, but is there a new way to do it? Maybe, it was decided that it's obsolete. We could do it a new way, So this is going to be happening in flow all the time, and the frequency simply won't support doing something that we don't like. But it's not relegated to out there. It's not like, okay, well, there's 10 different occupations that people like, and it's how you come and how you meet it.
Well, and another thing that's happening right now that's really important to, I don't know, this is what I've noticed. The world has changed already. There is no going back.
Right. It's not going to happen.
So you could be really upset about that and focus on consternating about, I really like the way things were, certain things, not everything. Because for instance, we went out, no, this is real. We went out to a restaurant.
Well, yeah, there are some things I would like to go back. Like I would still like to buy a bra for sure.
I know there are things that, I really enjoy. I was talking to a waitress where we were having lunch, and I couldn't help it. The minute I stepped to the door, I felt the difference, right? Totally different. This is not the same place. And we've had lunch here many times before. And I was with Mom, and we were like, wow. We both just kind of looked at each other, and I said, it's palpable. And she said, we'll never be the same. And I said, you're right. And we just walked through the door, and that was the energetic. So then they seat you a mile away from everybody else and all of these shenanigans. And the menus are changed, all brand new menus, very limited. Very limited. It was shockingly limited.
Oh my.
And then we ordered off the very limited menu. Oh, but you can't have that because we are out. And so I could feel, the waitress under her mask. And I asked her how she was doing. And she looked at me and she said, I'm okay, but this is really hard. And I said, I know it is. I said, nothing will be the same. She goes, this is not the same restaurant I left.
Right.
I don't know where I am right now.
Right.
And I said, yeah, I understand. It's a little discombobulating, isn't it? And she said, yeah, because I was feeling it. I felt discombobulated sitting there.
Right.
Because it wasn't the normal experience. So
and you get to leave.
Huh?
And you get to leave after lunch.
Right, exactly, right? So I think people are going to be faced with this as they go back, as they return to what they left.
Right.
It will be something completely different. And again, it's what you bring to this now.
That's why this is the tool.
Yes, that's why I'm loving this conversation, and I think that we can get out ahead of our disappointments. Like, since we haven't left the house yet, most of us, much, this is just the perfect time, I think, to do that inner shutting, and to, even if you find yourself sitting at home, feeling frustrated about any part of it, being at home and curfews and, or, thinking about what's going on in your local city and will it come out verbs or any of that. This is a beautiful opportunity before we have to embark out into this new world to set the tone right at home for how you wish, like how I've been holding it is I've been doing some interior redesign, and I have been setting things real nice. I'm deciding my boundaries, my deal breakers, what path I wish to follow. I'm navigating the flow. I'm jumping in where it feels right to me. I'm doing all of that right here and in my own space as I'm quarantining. And the more that I do that, the more empowered I feel and the less quarantining I am. Then I am preparing to take flight.
Yes.
When I've had enough of quarantining, regardless of what is happening in my town, I will fly. And that's all there is to it. And I think everybody has that opportunity to step right up to, the edge of the cliff now, because that's what we're doing. And I've done this game many times. And the latest big step for me was when I came here and we left DC. I didn't really know what was going to happen. We had a very short amount of time to decide. And I knew Sheila from, just a couple of hours in the Zoom room. And I was going to go live with her. So I felt as though I was on the cliff, on the precipice, if you will. And I was being asked to just take a step. Knowing that something would rise to meet me and I would be fully supported. And that was faith in myself, because that guidance was coming from me. And so I couldn't turn to somebody external, when I hit the bottom and say, this is all your fault. So it was scary, I'm not going to lie. But my motto at the time was do it anyway.
Right.
And I'm glad that I did, because I was sharing with Sheila today that I was supported in ways that I couldn't even imagine, had I not taken that leap of faith and stepped off the cliff, just knowing I would be supported, where would I be right now? I certainly would not be in this delicious conversation. And that's enough right there to let you know I did exactly the right thing.
Well, and that's true that you bring up a beautiful point about, and you can, so what changes when we come from a place of doing things we choose to do, and that doesn't happen. I mean, people go to a job as usually, but it could be little things like all of a sudden going to, if you have a nut job governor like I do, and there's new rules, this, that, and the other thing in the county, and the county from county to county,
Right.
So if a store that you used to like to go to is actually across that invisible line, and it's a new thing, or like I went and I was able to have a couple days off, and so I actually went to another county, and I wanted to go to a Trader Joe's to get a few things on my way to this. There's no Trader Joe's around me here. And unplanned, I had a t-shirt that I made on, and it said, my freedom does not begin where your fear ends. And there's a sunset, and the person is, I have one with the eagle too I made. But anyways, so I get out to go to Trader Joe's, and I think, oh, well, they're limiting the number of people because there's a line to go in the store with you. And then I noticed there's a sandwich board for Whatcom County, was the name of this county, and their regulations, and you have to wear a mask. And I'm going, well, I don't have one of those, and I'm not going to wear it. So, okay, well, all right. We'll just, maybe I won't be getting any food, and and I'll go find some grubs for my vacation.
Oh,
And in that moment, I just thought, well, I'm here. So all I can do is be me and choose how I'm going to, I don't want to be put upon, and I'm happy to be 6 feet from everybody. And so in that moment of using this tool, I could just go through the store. So everybody except for me and mine had masks, and the guy who was the clicker to click how many people are in the store and out of the store he came, had mask. And I said, hi, how you doing? And as if I was completely masked up and being a good girl and all this kind of stuff, and walked in the store and, made sure not to, if someone was going to the thing, I, was, and I spotted one. There might have been one other one too, so maybe two. Definitely one other woman there who didn't have a mask and was just as happy in her not maskness as me. And so I there were a few stares I could feel and a few angry darts at my back, but most of the thing, I think it was, again, what we're talking about is that just people encountered. I wasn't there not wearing a mask to thumb my nose. It was simply my choice, and I don't know whether these people were wearing masks because they really were afraid or because they had to follow the rules or whatever. But right. I was owning and perfectly happy in my space to be doing what I was doing, and no need to sell anybody or put upon anybody or anything else. And so we can use that with anything and every situation, because there are going to be all sorts of new situations, even in just going in back, as you said, to a place that you've been before, which was an old situation, familiar. So, and dealing with a whole actually new way of feeling and something, dealing with disappointment. It's not the same. This used to be nice to go to lunch, and all those kinds of things. Yeah. And if we allow that to really activate for us and be in that flow of, it's setting the intention, it's setting the tone, it's holding our space at the level and consciousness and happy flow that we choose it to be. It really is that simple.
Yep.
It's just a matter of choosing it.
Yeah.
And then we're letting yourself kind of get really bathe in the reward of that, because you can see that it changes. How do things change? Well, it changes everything. Because you're more confident, you're actually more loving, you're more in flow, you're more in sync. Whatever it is, if there's a task, or an experience that if you've done before, you'll feel that it finds it's more flow to it. It just seems to be more effortless, because part of that is you're leaving they could be preconceived, or they could be pre-grooved, well-worn resentments or resistance to different things. So it's not just a job, it's everything. It's any kind of interactions, any kind of foray into any place. It's how you make breakfast or anything else. How you do any kind of spiritual practices. How you interact with all the changes that are going on in the bringing down of the false construct, of the reveals of information.
Well, I'm not sure why I feel moved to say this, but I'm for me, this conversation, what changes when you come from a place of doing things because you choose to. Well, like I said at the front, for me, everything changes for one thing, most specifically me. And what I noticed about that for me, by becoming fiercely devoted to me in all things, and now I will only choose to do things that I would like to do, but the big thing for me, and I think this is where a lot of us still get hung up, it's been my noticing anyway, because I that's where I used to get hung up, was expecting others to want to do what I want to do or be the way I want to be or whatever else. I had a lot of expectations. And I've changed the way I feel about a lot of that. I want to play a certain way, and I have the right to play, to be and do as I feel to be and do. Everybody does.
Yeah.
So in the past, what I would do is I would be upset or mad, but hurt is the one thing I usually say when somebody doesn't want to play my way.
I
Right?
had that particular issue.
I would be very butthurt if you don't want to do what I want to do, or go where, you know, whatever the topic is. If you didn't agree with me or whatever, right? I'm just calling it in that particular way, right? And what has changed most about me, is that I no longer feel that way. You don't want to play the way I want to play. Cool, man.
Okay.
I respect that. I'm going to go over here and play. And if you want to join, come on over. If not, that's cool. I get it. No sweat, no worries. But see, now I have encountered that now that person wants to be butthurt because I don't want to play that.
Right.
And I'm like, well, you know, sorry, but you get to choose too. This is the biggest thing that has helped me get it. Just really grok this on a really big level. Everybody gets to choose. And it was my attachment to you choosing this over here. And that happens a lot. And that also for me goes to that whole borrow in trouble thing too, because well, now what's going to happen? They don't want to choose to be with me, and they're not going to loan me this, and nobody's going to let me do that. And that's a whole bunch of borrow in trouble for me that I don't want to do anymore. So again, I'll ask anybody anything. You can always say no. I won't be butthurt behind it though. That's the difference now for me. Okay, you don't want to play my game. Cool. I'll just keep going till I find somebody that does want to play my game. Because somebody somewhere will want to play my game. And if they don't, I'm all right with playing my game on my own.
Well, and magical things happen too, and you know, and what you're talking about, because it gives you more clarity, more, you own what you like to do, how you like to do it, and you'll find out more and more and more as you have and you've described that it's a frequency thing. So it isn't a specific, I only play games where I stand on my right leg and my left leg is at a certain angle, and you know, it's not like that. It's a frequency thing. And so the magical thing happens is, so you're owning that, you're really honoring that, really loving on that, enjoying that in that frequency, right? Okay. And then so there's a, you know, an interaction where there's someone potentially wants to play or not want to play, and this, okay, and they decide they don't want to play. But in that, it helps them, should they choose to do the same thing where they're honoring that. And once you have beings who are honoring that space for themselves of what they want and the frequency of that, then all of a sudden there's so much room for amazing co-creative play where there, you know, there's the mix of your frequency, what you like to play, and then this new alchemy when the two of you are co-creating, right? Where it fully supports both, and there's a new thing that comes in. It doesn't have to be all the time change, but just in that instance. Does that make sense?
Well, let me just share this with you to make it very, very, very clear. When Lisa and her family came here, I was still stuck in the butthurt portion of the festivities. A lot. It was specifically because Lisa was holding her frequency at a place of love, and she never got butthurt if I didn't want to do something. She actually would say, I am so glad that you're honoring yourself. I am so glad that you've
She was
honored
like,
your
"What?"
choice. It might have been not what she wanted to do. Maybe she wanted to do something and I didn't,
Right.
or something like that. Rather than get butt hurt over it, or because we had a difference of opinion, she actually said those words to me. And that's what you triggered that memory for me,
Yeah.
just because she actually said to me, I am so glad that you are honoring your feelings in this moment of now.
Yeah.
Because that is a very big deal. And
is.
so we can actually help folks.
Yes.
In my view, because that was so very, I'm telling you, it actually sort of threw me for a loop the
Right.
first time she did that. And so,
Because that's where all that programming is. That's where all that,
yes,
separation and boxing off and walling off and but you got to.
right. But see,
Yeah,
by
we
her
take
not
each other
having,
hostage.
Yeah.
no, that's
Right.
right. But by you not having an attachment to whatever the situation was the very first time that we do a certain thing or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and by saying, I'm so glad you honored yourself, that actually it did so many different things. It showed me first that, hey, wait a minute, yeah, I didn't think about it like that,
I should. Yeah, I need to
right?
honor
Because
me.
that's a program,
Regular basis.
that's a program too, of when you do honor yourself, but you kind of get that little guilty feeling, oh, I should be doing this, right?
Yeah.
So by her, she interrupted that program
That's
for me
right.
in a way that was so beneficial. And I want,
And I didn't even know it. Who knew?
well, that's right,
Well,
because
and the
this
beauty of it is it's
conversation is
not a
that
false,
forward.
it's not like a trick that you do. It's not a false
No.
thing. Because the only way you can do it is to be genuine in doing it, because
No, that's
you're
right.
either neutral or you're not. You
Right.
can't
That's
pretend to be
else.
neutral.
You
It's just,
can't fake neutral.
you
no,
can't.
that's right. No, you cannot. You're absolutely right. However, I could feel that you really were not upset about it at all, and genuine in what you said, number one and number two. But also for number three, like I said, it's and it didn't hit me until you said that, BZ, but that is exactly what that was. That was a program interrupt for me that said, oh, wait a minute, yeah, I'm not being selfish, I'm honoring what I wish. And that and a lot of us don't do that enough at all anyway.
Yes.
Right.
Big
And
problem.
right,
And,
right.
and like I said, so then you get people who each are doing that, and it may be that for a while they don't really play that much. They're doing their own thing, and there's, hi, how you going, and all that kind of stuff. But it opens the door, because it program interrupts for the magic to really start to happen, because there is no hierarchy. You actually are showing and proving to yourself that the need or the system or the structure where there's hierarchy and separation and all, it doesn't need to be there. In fact, not only does it not need to be there, you're not missing anything by not having it. A lot of people, that's where well, who's going to take out the trash? That's wanting to quickly rebuild that wall.
Right. Right. The compartmentalization of it.
Right.
That's somebody else. And if we fire all the somebody else's, who's going to do all my stuff?
Right.
Well, it's like you said, Lisa, you woke up and you loved the cleaning of the house.
Yes. And I needed that experience, like, of going on strike and really feeling the nonsense of my silly words lived out all around me. Because of course sometimes I would want to clean the house. But it proved to me it was my own attitude about the situation that was causing the problem in the first place. And then I moved. So it was such a I don't know, a meditation, the deep cleaning cleaned out more than just my house.
That's
Okay, so now I
exactly
was a
right.
brand new, clear person. And from that vantage point, I began to appreciate my daily carry water and chop wood and bake bread routine in a new way. I now saw it as a walking meditation. And I need meditation time. And I was constantly saying, well, I don't have time for that. And if I waited until right before bed, I went, oh. Oh, there's just no, I couldn't even stay awake for 5 seconds. Like I literally, if I relaxed my body, I was gone. So I needed to find a new way to meditate anyway. But while I was cleaning, that idea came to me, and some more ideas. Okay, and I'm just going to share them because they were terrific ideas. So I was working really hard. You know, I got inspired, and I took everything out of the big closet, which is something I probably did twice in the whole 20 years I lived there, because that's how fun that job was for me. So as I'm in there, it was wearing me out physically. It was a lot of heavy, so I was really, but I had the energy, like the nudge to clean the house was real, like the excitement. I mean, you know, I wanted to do it, that I was just tucking in, and I had some bad body dynamics at play. And because I was doing this chore in a meditative state as a meditation, I was instructed, guided, however you want to hold it, it came to me very, very strongly to hold in my abdominals and to crunch, you know, do a crunch. So bend down in a crunch position, pick up the box, and then I would tuck it very close to my body because I was extremely overweight at this juncture, and I had a very bad back with active sciatica coming and going at this point in my life. And so it was important to me I don't destroy my back because I worked a lot, you know. And so I hugged the box to my body very tight, and then stood up very consciously, very slowly. And I was feel all of my muscles, engage them, and really be in this, watch my body dynamics, be with the chore of lifting this heavy box, right? And then moving it, walking. And what I found was, it also was a workout, because for days afterwards, I couldn't move because every muscle in my body I had engaged, but properly, in a way that was helping me and not throwing me out of whack-a-noodle, so that I had this huge messy house and now I have a broken back and I can't put it away, because that was sort of my normal my MO, to be really honest with you. And so doing it consciously, not only, first of all, it made me stronger, because within 3 days' time, I tackled the whole part of my house, because now I was on a roll. And sometimes I would just run to the closet so I could gaze at my organization. And, you know, I was not that gal prior to this moment. So changing me and how I was holding things, literally, and how I was encountering them and the relation. So instead of being sort of run by the things are running me and controlling me, because now I got all these things and I got to do these things and things. I pared down and I only kept the things I really love. And then I took care of them as though I love them. And my whole world changed. I could find the things that I love when I wanted to, and I felt really clear and clean in my thinking. Like, it gave me bonuses all over the place that I never even imagined, coming from that one exercise of only doing what I love. And that brought me the meditation piece and the consciousness piece, and engaging with my body and my whole environment, instead of just, I hate when this is, and because that's how I tackled every other job before, with just changed absolutely everything, and it still is.
So someone just said, how do you get started? And they didn't mean, well, they could have meant, but I don't think they did, starting to clean the closet. But how do you get started in this? And part of it would be, again, to just play with the question, well, what changes? And if you step into a virtual reality room, you know, the holodeck, if you're a Star Trek person, right? And of setting the program for, you know, this thing that you don't like and you're going to change, that you're going to come from a place where you choose to do it, and you can play with it, because it's, first of all, it's your linear mind thinking loop that is dragging you on the train, instead of, you know, you being up in the locomotive and choosing how you're going. And so you can, or your athletes will do a lot of, actors, athletes, all manner of people will do, creators will do a lot, kind of a meditation in their own way of running the race, doing the plays, running the, you know, what's going on beforehand in the moves. And that's building, as just, you know, I was thinking about that when you're talking about the closet, Lisa, and the way you were mindfully using all the muscles firing in your body, the same kind of thing, so that you can engage your body. There's reams and reams and reams of writings and channelings and experiences, and then people, you know, playing with it and relating their experiences, where you can do workouts where just you're visualizing and you are firing and you're communicating, because it's a frequency. It's the synapse type frequency that causes the nerves to fire, and on the brain, and in your brain, and then in your body, and the muscles and the tendons, all that kind of stuff.
Well,
there's no difference between lifting the weight. If you're going through the same routine, it's been quantified, where they have then tested the muscle elasticity, right, or the stretch, or the you know, when you do stretches and you have exercises that build long muscle fibers or short muscles. So if someone has big bulgy muscles, that's a short thing, and if they have long ones, right? And so you can do that by doing different ways, but you can also do it by actually guiding your whole body to work on that area where you aren't necessarily working with a particular amount of weight in a certain dumbbell or whatever it is.
Yes, I had an experience very similar to that. Well, kind of not that I worked out in my mind, but I did do things with my mind, like you're saying. Like I would lay in bed, and I'm not a morning gal, and I wasn't too pleasant to anybody, including myself, first thing in the morning. And so I did things to change it. And one of the things I did was pre-plan my morning, which is just what you say. I would lay in bed and visualize what does your perfect morning look like? You know, because if you don't know, you're never going to get there. So I planned it out, right? Like, oh, this would feel good and that would feel good, and that's okay. And so then I had a routine that I could say, I'm going to get up and I'm going to, you know, stretch or whatever. I'm just making this up now, but, you know, and then I'm going to pick out my outfit or whatever. But it was more than planning my outfit. I never planned my outfit. What I planned was the attitude with which I was, you know, like getting up and feeling gratitude. I'm going to thank, first of all the elements in my dear sweet body for this beautiful day, because moving into it in that conscious fashion changes everything. Then in the morning when I woke up, it was rote. Like I didn't even have to think about it. I just naturally woke up and did those things, and I embodied those things. And then I took that energy off with me into the world of just that great confidence that you speak of. But also one more story. But you talked, BZ, and so many things get triggered, and I'm lucky I can remember them this time. Another thing was that you said about the muscles. Okay, so this was another thing I was doing, and this is just getting back to, I learned that I could talk to my body and it responded to me, right? And so I was sending it loving thoughts. And I was saying to myself, because I got this idea, because my soul showed me my thoughts. And my thoughts were as follows. And I know this is just embarrassing, but here's what they were. I was born fat, because I wasn't born fat. I was born normal. But all the way up until 5th grade. Then I got really, really huge. And I was really, really huge, really, really huge, really, really huge, really, really huge. And then I'm an adult. And so all through my childhood, I kept thinking, I had a feeling, this is really weird too. I knew I was going to be thin one day, right? I just knew I was. But I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to get there or how to make that happen. And so one thing I kept saying is, well, I'm stuck this way now. And now I can't do anything about this. I've tried everything, because literally I did. Everything anybody ever told me to do, I did it. And guess what? I got worse. I put on weight. And so, including my doctors and my parents and the people at the Weight Watchers and the 3 other clinics I don't care to mention. And I literally got worse after each of these treatments and helpfulness. So I decided to do something completely different, which is just listen to the wisdom of my body and see what it wants.
Novel concept for most people.
Well, it was way out there for me. So I asked it what it wanted, and I told you some of those stories. Some was crazy stuff, but one thing that I replaced those thoughts of, I'll always be fat, there's nothing I can do about this, I've tried everything, to I'm healthy and getting healthier by the minute. My body is strong and happy to be here, and I'm happy to be with my body because I love you. And I meant it. I'm getting emotional now because I could literally not mean it when I first started saying it. I just couldn't. But I kept saying it and I kept saying it. And before you know it, I formed a relationship because, okay, it's hard to love something that you're just treating like a nothing. I don't know. When I turned my attention to myself and my body and I really began to love and nurture it, it came alive. And I realized that I'm in a relationship with this beautiful body, and I totally fell in love. And it didn't happen overnight. It was my dedication to taking care of me the way I would any other. I was a nanny. I was taking care of people professionally, except me.
Right.
For some reason, I wasn't worthy of my own care and attention.
Right.
But once I turned that focus, that gaze upon me, I blossomed. And I was so happy to be me and to be with me. I just was thrilled. And so I had done this for some time. I know exactly what you're talking about when you say that your soul is courting you. Because my little mind told me those things, that I'm fat and it's impossible and you're nothing. But my soul said, you're everything and nothing is impossible. And I love you. And I had a hard time taking that in and believing it because I was just conditioned to do otherwise. But the once I really, I'm going to say, succumbed to the attention that was coming my way, everything wonderful opened up and began to happen to me. So one day I was just sitting in the chair, contemplating my life, making love to my body, just saying, you are so wonderful and I love you so much. And thank you for, I had lost some weight and I'd gotten rid of some issues, some sciatica, gone. I had some teeth issues, gone. And I was so in gratitude for just these little teeny incremental things that meant the world to me and changed the quality of my life so drastically. And my body said, get down on the floor. Because, okay, well, I have to tell you this before we get to the floor. I had taken a Pilates class in my efforts to listen to everyone else in what I should do. If you ever want to humiliate yourself, be 300 pounds with a very bad attitude and go to Pilates.
Oh, sorry.
It's the perfect storm.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm seeing all the perfectly coiffed gals with their little dogs.
Including the 70-year-old lady next to me. Okay? Who could hold the position the entire, I think it was an hour and a half. Yes. No. Yeah, the class was an hour and a half. So when you hold this position, you are holding and holding and holding. Okay, so I'm going to describe one position. You lay on your back with your knees raised, kind of like you're going to do a crunch, right? Only you lift your rear end straight up off the ground so that you are making the slide a slide with your body. And you hold it forever. I mean, it was a long time. And it was so humiliating, not because, oh, it was hard to hold it. It was a humiliatingly long time because I couldn't get the arse up off the ground. Not any measure. Now, my bones did. Like I could feel the pressure of relief, right? But the buns were still squarely. According to the room, I have made new progress off the ground whatsoever, but inside I know that I have. And I'm holding it until, for, I don't know, 3 or 4 seconds. I held it, and then of course I laid down again. And that did more trauma to my psyche, that experience, because this 70-year-old, did it, held her little plank, and then flung one leg straight up in the air for another 20 minutes. Honestly, it was incredible. So this day, I haven't thought about Pilates in years, okay? As I'm sitting here loving on myself and where I am and just accepting me, right? And I was thinking about the fact how all of this progress without ever stepping foot in gym day one. Like no effort on my part went into working out or trying to do anything. And so my body said, get on the floor. And I did. And I was able to plank like proper, rear end up off the ground, knees shook, because I held it and 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 held it. I held it the proper amount of time and I couldn't believe myself. I was like, what? And then there were a few more positions that I literally couldn't even contort into if I tried, and I was able to do them on the floor that day. And so then I thought, I was like, and then that was it. Just these 3 positions, and I just held them, and that was it. And I was like, so am I supposed to be doing this now every day? Like, what are you trying to say? And then this very delicious river of love flowed over me. And I just wanted you to see what you can do. And I was like, you mean I don't have to work out? No, just keep doing what you're doing and you're going to get stronger and stronger. And so now I'll do a workout position or routine just to monitor where I am. Like what I couldn't do before, suddenly I'm doing with ease. And I am so profoundly surprised by my own incredible transformation because I feel like I've done nothing, other than maintain my own frequency
But what
and attitude, I didn't work out. I didn't die. I was eating Dairy Queen.
what you did was you were working out a lot before, and the workout was your mind and the frequency that you were holding, that was all holding you back, that was all constricting you, that was all in the, you're no good, you're down in the basement, and you bloody well better stay there, because that's where, the rung on the ladder that the program has put you. And so you actually did a huge amount of thing, because taking that up, that's like was dragging a 100-pound barbell on each appendage behind you all the time.
Well, I
so
still am, but
No, but I mean, people don't realize that they're told. Now, you can also, there's nothing wrong with exercising, but what I'm saying is that
if you enjoy that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, but part of it has to do with how you're actually, you're not just bones and muscle. Your frequency, and the frequency changes how those bones and muscles work. Well, so whatever the circumstances, whether it's your body or your job or going to a new changes, because the whole world is totally different, and we'll keep getting totally different until we get to the bring down the old and the creation of the new. And so this tool is incredibly helpful, because you can whip it out anytime, because you control it anytime. You can only do, you could do like a quarter of a rep for a nanosecond, or you could do long things using the exercise metaphors. But it's that realization that you choose, that you control everything. And if you're not liking something and you're not wanting to do it, and it's in your list, you're controlling that too. In fact, you are reinforcing that and making that so for you every moment of every day, because you keep reinforcing that every moment of every day.
Well, when you said you heard the question, BZ, how do you start? I heard that too, and I wanted to add something to that, because for me, all of what both of you have said is absolutely perfect and correct, and I've used all of that myself. But the very first thing for me that had to happen in order to start was I had to open my mind and give myself permission. And that, I get it. It might be a little bit hard. Somebody will hear that and say, "Oh, well, I give myself permission." Well, now you may think you are, because okay. So anybody that knows me might think, well, I have always done what I wanted to do, kind of attitude, right? But there's a difference between that and giving oneself the permission, to be fiercely devoted to self, first of all.
Yes.
There's that. But being open to what all might. Again, Lisa, you also hit something very, very, very important that I noticed for myself too, is that for the very first time, once I gave myself permission and I made that commitment to be fiercely devoted to myself, then I had to figure out, what do I want?
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, that takes a while. That's one of the most, when I used to have my coaching business, that's one of the most difficult questions I would ask them. We would take them months and months and months, and they were actively working and playing with that, and it was somebody else's, that they kept coming. I said, well, cool, great, let's do that. Let's play with that.
Well, and I heard somebody,
they don't like that.
No, that's right. Well, I just heard somebody say, well, I know what I want. Well, you go ahead and give yourself permission to go after that and make sure, because if you've never tried it, because you've not give yourself permission, then you don't know for sure. And I can tell you that for a fact. Because
and someone said, so giving permission. So for me, one of the ways I would describe that, you can do it simple, just as face value what she was talking about, but it's meeting with yourself. So it's saying that I give myself permission and I agree to honor that. I agree to be fierce about that. So without attachment, without judgment, without all of those things, that you're giving yourself permission to do something. I mean, what is that actually for? It'll be, people will characterize slightly different ways, but that permission, and it's an open permission. So it's not attached, but you got kind of, if there are no curfews, there's no those kinds of things. And there's an honoring there. There's a cherishing there in that giving of permission.
Well, that's what I'm saying, BZ, though, honestly. I would, if when we first started this thing, someone would have said to me, well, you're not giving yourself permission, I would have fought and said, like hell, I give myself permission. I didn't see that I was not giving myself permission, first of all, because it's a pre-programmed thing, that not pre-programmed, but it is a programmed condition type of thing, first of all. And anytime you say, well, I can't do that, that is a clue to look at the why, because there's a permission slip that you've not allowed yourself to sign.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it that way, because for at least that's been my experience, my own personal experience. So.
Yeah, and it's a great thing where if you can play with it a little, just look at something as seemingly simple as, if you're of a spiritual bent, and wanting to characterize yourself that way, and you think, well, we're all one, we're all in this together. Mm-hmm. So are you giving yourself permission to hold that we're all one? All one. And what exceptions come up? Where can you point in any direction? And so we do that. We have the tendency, unless we've worked on it a lot, although we can do it we can change the propensity for it in a nanosecond. It doesn't have to take a long time. But there's all sorts of things all over the place, in every area, every aspect, every instance, just in our own. We don't even talk about anybody else outside of us, in their family or anything like it, just us, just right here. So all of your bodies, all those levels, where we're not doing that because unconsciously we're kind of coming up except fors these things. And when you give yourself permission, it is a blanket permission. It's it's just like everything else in the financial slavery. The reverse of that is all prepaid, pre-authorized, and pre-approved. The permission is total.
Yep. Wow. Well, do either one of you have anything else you'd like to add to this conversation? Because I got to tell you that you were right, BZ. It went a little bit deeper than I was thinking, but I love it. This has been
lovely.
So wonderful.
This now moment, right?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is just to reiterate that for these moments that we're in right now, which will be speeding up more, this is going to be an incredibly glorious superpower tool that you can implement in all areas, in every way, shape, or form, on everything. And you can then resoundingly and joyfully answer the question, what changes. Not only does everything change, but you can enumerate the most delicious, complexly rich and nuanced ways that they've changed all over the place. And they keep changing.
Well, and I feel compelled to say this too. So, and it's okay if one is choosing something else. You know what I mean? If you just recognize that if you are in a spot where you feel like you're not ready to, or you don't want to, give yourself permission, or you can't for whatever the reason it is, cool, whatevs. But recognize that that's a choice, because in and of itself,
Right.
that will be of assist as well.
Absolutely.
Has been for me. I would
do it consciously. Make that choice. Do it consciously. Honor it. Jump full-hearted in there, fiercely. Be determined on that choice you're making, whatever that is, and you are already light years.
Yep.
From where you were before you made that choice, regardless of what it is.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for this excellent conversation, I have to say.
It was so fun. Thank you.
Yes,
What a good time.
It was fun.
So if you have not already subscribed to Conscious Conversation Central, I would love it if you would do so. Also, there's a link to BZ Rieger's channel. If you are subscribed to BZ Rieger and not Conscious Conversation, or you're subscribed to Conscious Conversation and not BZ Rieger, make sure you're subscribed in both places so you can keep up with both of us, because we do different stuff all the time. And let's see, what else was I going to say? Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when we go live. I have been utilizing the community tab on there too. So if you've got that notification bell hit and it's working properly, I have to throw that in. You'll get notified if I do an update like I did this morning when I said I wasn't going to do my live. So I guess that's it for this time. Thank you, ladies. Till next time. Mwah.